Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Collar Future Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Robison. We've got our co-host with us, Jessie, today. Jessie, what's up?
Hi, man. Just chilling. Got a nice, relaxing weekend. We bought Christina a Sportster yesterday, played some golf this morning. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool weekend for me.
Yeah, I saw you were selling a bike, and then I saw you got a bike.
Yep.
And I was like,
Still got my bike. Still have my bike, which I love my bike, so I won't be mad if someone doesn't buy it. I just want a bigger one, which is, the what is the human experience, right? I always want the bigger one. I always want the better one, right? Like, this one's awesome, but like I could have that one.
what size is the one you got right now?
It's a 114, so it's got an 1800. I think it's like 1860 something. And then that it's not necessarily that I want that lowrider ST because it has a 117 instead of a 114, but I want it for like it's got the bigger gas tank, it's got the bigger fairing, the bags. Like I could probably ride it a little further comfortably. So
Do you like those bigger bikes? Because I always tend to gravitate towards like the slimmer style. I think like the one that you have actually.
yeah. And that's what,
Yeah.
So like I rode a road glide because some dude was selling it on Facebook for like way too good of a deal. So I went over there, test rode it because like that's what Brock rides. And I was like, okay, Brock
Yeah.
looks good on it because he's a big dude. Like, and not like if no one's seen Brock, the blue collar dad, he's not like the fat, like older dude that rides a road glide. He's just a big, massive mountain of a man.
He's just a
And so I
big
was like,
guy.
yeah, I was like, okay, I'm 6'6", like maybe I'd look good on it. And I got on it. And I was like, I feel like I'm riding our miniature burro that I had, like that our family had when we were kids. I was like all the way out and I was like, I don't like this. Because I'm used to riding skinnier bikes like you are.
Yeah.
Because that's my street bob now or like my Dyna before.
Yeah.
And that's the lowrider and the lowrider ST aren't much wider than
Yeah.
what I'm riding now. So I was like, maybe that's a good middle ground of like, it's a big enough that like, it's not uncomfortable, but like it fits me size wise. Sort of was my mentality, and then maybe it's more comfortable on a longer trip.
Did you have a chance to ride one? Did you rode that one at the dealership or something? I'm assuming.
The one I sent you, no, I
Yes.
just saw that on Facebook because it's on Cycle Trader or something. But I've sat on them before. Like there's one over here at
Yeah.
Young.
Oh, I see. I'm not actually used to street bikes. I've ridden a lot of dirt bikes before though, so I guess that's probably why I would gravitate towards the slimmer street bikes. I've wanted a street bike, but I don't really like how like just the big old massive ones look and how I would
Yeah.
look on one because I'm, a little bit smaller. So if I go jump on a big bike like Brock has, it'll be like,
Yeah.
Little 8-year-old or something. So,
Bro, Christina has a friend. Christina has a friend that rides a road glide like Brock's, and she's like 5'2". Like she's
jeez.
tiny. She's a stunt rider, but she also her daily is like a road glide. I'm like, how do you ride this thing?
Does she look like a little kid on it or what?
Oh yeah, dude. Like it's exactly what you'd think it looks like.
Aren't those things probably like 600 pounds or something?
Oh, bro, mine's 800 pounds. So like, I bet a road
Yeah.
glides. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm used to riding a slim dirt bike that, they're like 250-ish.
Yeah, you could pick it
Almost
up if
all
you
of the
had to.
bigger ones. Yeah. I can pick it up and put it onto a stand. You're not picking those up. So those
No,
road bikes. Well,
but yeah, what are we talking about today? Let's get into this.
we're discussing expectations, I think, today. So, things take longer than expected, and
Mhm.
to most people, longer than most people would expect nowadays, and also they should take longer than you expect. So we kind of wanted to get into
Sure.
first why people, I think right now, why do you think people think that everything should be like immediate, like right now? Everybody thinks that you can just become an expert or you can just like jump into a career and all of a sudden, be at the top of the food chain and making, a whole bunch of money after, or like immediately, right away. Why do you think that is nowadays?
Because we have air fryers, bro.
Dude,
No, I'm just
that's real stuff right there. No, that's real stuff. We have an air fryer and we use it, but we have been going without a microwave since we moved into our house, and you would
Mm.
not believe the inconvenience on me for not having a microwave. because the
But
amount
yeah.
of things that I don't just go and put in my mouth because I don't have easy access to heat them up is
Mhm.
like insane. Microwaves are way too convenient. I'm almost convinced that that's why people are fat nowadays because people have leftovers all the time and it's way too easy to just shove something in a microwave and have it heated up in a minute and ready to eat.
You don't gotta clean
Oh,
dishes,
like
nothing.
no, no, yeah,
Yeah.
but
And, like, obviously, this is a joke, but, like, that's why I said we have air fryer. Like, think about everything else that's
yeah,
so convenient in our
oh yeah,
life of, everything's I mean, this phone, I can get information, I can damn near get food immediately, like, I can get everything that I want immediately. So, why wouldn't people expect, you know, maybe like you said, the expertise or the gain or, whatever, why wouldn't they expect that to get immediately when everything else in their life is immediate? But it doesn't work that way. Like we discussed prior is, I mean, to become an expert at something, you still got to put in your 10,000 hours. You still got to grind. You still got to do all that stuff to get the fruition, right? Like
hmm
what did we say? It was the quote I just looked up of like, because people say you're lucky or whatever because you have something. And it's what is it? Is it luck is when preparation meets opportunity? Yeah.
yes, yes, I
So
think
like,
so.
but you got to be prepared. You got to be able to step into that opportunity. So if you're not going to get everything instantly because you wouldn't know how to handle the opportunity, right? If you didn't do the work. So it's like, it's the same thing with
Yeah,
work is like, I can't handle all my problems if I've never faced them before. And that echoes in life.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's so easy nowadays to just like have one random video go viral, I think,
Mhm.
that people will see big accounts. And I think they'll even hear about this idea that it just takes one video. But the whole just takes one video thing is usually baked into like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos and time and obviously that preparation and putting in the steps to get there. I think we've talked before about how long it took you to take off on social media. I think you said it was 2 years or something of
Yeah.
posting
I
or
mean, yeah, like my first video went viral like 8 months in, but then like to really catch traction was probably the 2 to 3 year mark. And we're at
yeah,
5 years now. And I think about it in the sense of like, in, and there's a caveat to this because like, there's a caveat, I'll speak on that in a second. But like, imagine you had a viral video and people go to your page because they're like, dude, this dude's awesome. I want to see more of his stuff. You have nothing. Why would they follow you?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're just like, cool, you made one video, like that's it. But then you have people like maybe you've seen that girl, she's done with it now, but she was like challenge herself of like 30 days of like, I'm just gonna freaking do something. Cause she was like tired
Uh-huh.
of doing the bed rot and doom scroll and whatnot. And so her first video goes super viral and she gets 100,000 followers off it. But like people are expecting her to keep doing this, right? And like they support her
Yeah.
in this because it's relatable. So you've got like
Uh-huh.
the caveat, right? Like there's that sort of thing, or like sailing with Phoenix. But even him, this dude quits his job, sails to Hawaii and whatnot. But he had a backlog of tons of videos about like the life he wanted to leave and like what he was doing. And he's building the boat. And then like people catch on to that one video that went viral and they're like, oh, this dude's sick. I can relate to this.
hmm
Yeah. So it's just, even if you were to get that viral video right out the gate, it wouldn't do you any good because nothing has been prepared to retain that audience. So like, yeah, the dopamine rush is cool of like, oh, cool, I just got 10 million views, but like building a community and having all that sort of stuff should be the end goal. And like whatever you're trying to create here, like whatever you're trying to push should be the end goal. So like it's okay to not go viral and like have all this built up because eventually it's going to hit.
Yeah. Well, like there's a couple things like we can touch on from there because obviously we started talking into the social media side of it, but I think
Mhm.
that's super important to touch on just because I think that's why everybody has this idea that it doesn't, that it should be that easy, I guess, to just, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I just got to have a video go viral. And almost always when you see a big account and they talk about having that one viral video, they have like hundreds and hundreds on backlog that they've put in the time and the work and they're already, an expert in something or they have like a vision and a plan for what they're posting about. But I think that
Mhm.
carries over into the workforce where people right now are so upset with not being the top of the line in their job, but they're not putting the work in, and they just kind of expect it to just happen. I think that the social media makes things unrealistic because it's just a snapshot. I mean, even if someone goes and looks at you, if they look at your post amount and your follower amount, that might just look like a number. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
really look at that and see an amount of time put into the amount of videos that you have unless you have been doing the social media thing for any amount of time and you're like, "Oh wow, that's quite a lot of videos and that's probably quite a lot of time take taken to build that following." All you're seeing on social media is just a snapshot. It's like right in the moment. So it's really easy for someone to just be like, "Oh man, I just need a video to go viral," or I just need like this one thing to happen, and then all of a sudden I'll be this big runaway success. And
Yeah.
that's just not how it works. It's not instant. It takes a long time, and a lot of practice, and it takes becoming an expert. Which, if you're not an expert at anything, then how do you expect to be a big success?
Mhm. Well, and, like, back to the work thing is, like, you have guys I'm not gonna name names or anything, but we have guys on the crew that are learning, and they get so, like and get don't get me wrong, I was there too. Like, you get frustrated because 'cause you're like, imagine you had, like, 3 good days of, like, "Oh, I'm killing it. Like, I'm doing good. I'm keeping up with the journeyman," and then day 4 is like, "I just don't know what I'm doing wrong, and, like, I can't figure the materials out, and I can't do this stuff because it happens. Like, you just that's how it is when you're learning, and so, like, you get frustrated because 'cause you're like, "Well, days 1, 2, and 3, I was so good, but day 4, it's like I don't even remember how to do my job." And maybe that's a exaggeration, but they get
Yeah.
frustrated or like someone comes up and tries to correct something like, "Hey, dude, like you're doing this wrong. How about you try this?" And then you want to get frustrated because you're like, well, like I should be better about this because everybody around me is better at this. I'm like, well, you don't know that Troy's been doing this since he was 17 and he's 50 now. That's why he's really good at it, or you don't know that like so and so has been doing this for 15 years. It's like you're on you're just a toddler in this world, right? You're our
Mhm.
little baby apprentice, and we're trying to get you to walk, like, and you're worried about running, and it's not
And
gonna
you're just
happen.
this you're the little baby apprentice that's rolling around in the dirt and eating the dirt and the mud and shit, you know? We talked before that it seems like all new guys are so dirty all the time, and, like, anytime we hire someone new, I'm like I'll look at him and be like, "How in the crap did you get so dirty today?" Like, I don't even
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. I'm the same way. There's some days I
It's
like we'll get done and I'll look at someone and be like, "Bro, why is your shirt covered in mortar? What happened to you?" And they're like, "I've been working with you all day. Nothing exploded," And
yeah.
there's like it's like like we talked about is you learn how to hold your tools. You learn how to apply certain things. Like you learn where not to stand, where to stand. You learn and that's just stuff you learn
Mhm.
over time, and, like, that's a pretty simple
Yeah.
way of putting it, but, like, those are skills you also acquire along the road. Like, you're not gonna show up day 1 and stay clean.
Well, I mean, so kind of like a real life example for this, like, I've been doing concrete long enough. I
Mhm,
I would kind of consider myself an expert at this point. I don't know how. Yeah, probably I would. So the decision making process on every single part of your job takes a lot of bandwidth, and if you have not done those repetitions day in, day out, year after year, like every single thing you do is going to take more time than somebody who's been doing it forever. And
yeah,
also, you're not going to know all of the different scenarios that could come up and all of the different things to look out for. So you could end up with potential problems. And this is where guys get frustrated is they'll be on the job and they'll do something wrong and they'll just get super defeated and like you were saying, just upset that they're not as good at things as everybody else is. But that's what it takes to do that type of stuff. So I had a side job last week up the street from me for one of my neighbors. And a lot of the times, organizing concrete jobs can seem kind of daunting because, like, you need all your guys to be there depending on all of the little different scenarios. You need a certain amount of people to be there. And it's hard to know how many unless you've been doing it a long time,
mhm,
especially like if something goes wrong and you've got, 20 yards of concrete on the ground and nobody can get something figured out and you guys don't have it planned out already, you can get
yeah,
behind and lose that and lose that what would that be? Probably near $6,000 in concrete and just
Yeah.
have to eat that and redo it. So it can be really daunting. And
Mhm.
I went through this. I did a side job and I went through this whole process because in one aspect, I look back on it and I'm like, man, that went really good because I organized somebody to come in and prep it. They did a really good job. It got done super fast. I was working over there doing all of the other prep work, like the forming and the rebar and whatever else we were doing.
Mhm.
And went through the whole figuring out how much concrete I need and where are we setting our pump at and where are we going to wash our trucks out at and how many guys do we need. And
Mhm.
um, I felt like everything went really good, except for when I started to get to figuring out the concrete, which I do every single day. I started figuring it out, and I think I refigured it 10 times and got the same number. And I kept looking at my job and I'm like, this does not look like this is gonna be I think I had decided 15 yards. I was like, this does not
Mhm.
look like it's gonna be 15 yards of concrete. There's no way. Like I'm like looking at how long this RV pad and driveway is. I've got curb wall in there and I've got another piece of sidewalk, and I'm like, dude, this is like I was tripping in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that that happens that I can't even imagine how that would have been, you
Mhm.
know, 4 or 5 years ago. Some of it is the stress of not wanting to run out because when you run out, it becomes a much bigger problem and you have to
Mhm.
start thinking about where your cold joints are going to be and it becomes a very big issue. So you don't want to run out. But
Mhm.
I was getting so fixated on this little detail and I'm like, I should know this. I know this. I should be confident in my abilities. I do this all the time. I do this every day. And
Mhm.
ended up being great. It ran, we had the perfect amount of concrete and the whole project went good. But that's the type of stuff that it takes time to go through all of those details and to get them done efficiently and effectively. And that
Mhm.
project basically was start to finish in the span of a week in my afternoons and weekends
Mhm.
of working through it and in my spare time. Really, not even that much time spent on the project itself.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those deals where it takes a long time to be able to do something like that. So, like, somebody else could organize a project and have, the prep go wrong and the forming going wrong and not order enough concrete and be off on your dollar amount estimates and all of these different things. And all of a sudden it's like, what have I even been doing? And
Mhm.
you could have been doing it for a couple years and just be completely off on every single spot. But it's because it takes time. And
Yeah.
I'm
You
sure
got
this
you
happens
learn.
to everybody. But
So,
anyways.
like in that sense of I've had a couple apprentices that are like starting to do side jobs, like let's go make some of our own money and let's get ahead and those sort of things, which fully support. But I've had a couple of them like one of them did a job and they realized they were talking to me about it. They're like, "Hey, I quoted him at this. What do you think?" I was like, "Well, I think you're really low because you missed the fact that you like instead of running bone, you told him you could do a herringbone and you're not thinking about how many more cuts that is, right? And stuff like that." And I was like, but you do not go back to that person and tell them that now it's more. You gave him a
Hmm.
quote. You learn this, like
Yep.
you have to learn this lesson because now
Yep.
you're going to get there and do all that work and you're going to learn like, hey, I can't do it that low because of this, this, and this, and you're never going to do it again. Whereas if I just bid it for you, you'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, whatever. Or like I had one of them, I not saying I would ever hang one of them out to dry because like if they got stuck in a bad way or like anything like that, I would 100% put my boots on, leave the house and be like, "Hey, cool, let's
Hmm.
get this done." Like
Yeah.
it's like if you had got to the point you're like, "I don't have enough guys to finish concrete," like, "Hey, I'm hopping out, I'm going." But like I knew he had bit off a little more than he could chew, but I was like, "You need to take the time to learn this lesson," because like I learned that lesson, the guys before me learned that lesson. I was like,
Hmm.
between like I bid at this and like I need to do this or like I took this job and it needs to be done this day. I'm like, you need to learn that lesson so that it sticks with you. And that's, you don't
Yep.
get that over time. So like I knew he was in over his head, just a little over his head. And like say he was going to drown, I probably would, yeah, I would have ran over there and pulled him out of the water. He's to the point where like, hey dude, you need to learn how to swim. I was like, we all learned these lessons. We all got a little like I'm not gonna let you fly too close to the sun, but like I'm gonna let you, you know, get up there, right? So it's if he had called me and I could tell he was like not like maybe starting to panic, you know, of like oh God, I gotta get
Mhm.
through this. And so I just gave him short answers and whatnot, and he got through it. And like we showed up to work on Monday, and he was like, He's like, I know what you're doing. You know, you're Jedi mind tricking me, which I appreciate because now I know the lesson or whatnot. He goes, but in the moment, I was like, why won't Jesse help me? Why won't he just tell me what I need to do? And I'm like, because you bid it. You need to figure it out. Like I said, I'm not going to let you drown. Like, I'll
Yeah.
come get you. I'll come jump in the water and help you. But like, you need to learn how to swim if you're going to jump in the water. So it's part of it. And you don't
Yeah.
get that. You don't get that if you don't do it. So it's like, you have to spend time. So like I know that we live in a world of instant gratification and immediate responses, but like you don't learn how to solve any of those problems if it's immediately given to you. You have to develop your foundation and build up from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and all of this is to say too that you can't get to the point where I was too without going through what they went through because you went through
Hmm.
similar scenarios. You know,
Yeah.
you bid things low, you had things that didn't go quite right because you didn't have enough experience. Everybody goes through that.
Yep.
And I think that nowadays a lot of the younger generation doesn't realize how many things can go wrong. And that's nothing, you
Mhm.
know, we have an abundance mindset, I think, in these younger generations, just because we have amazing pieces of technology that have developed over the last um, 20 years that have completely changed the way the world works in real time. And technology outpaces itself so fast that you can get a piece of technology and within a year it's already outdated and
Mhm.
outclassed in every way by new pieces of technologies. Like people look at that and they say, you know, they think that it should be faster for them to do things and for them to learn. I mean, but look at how long we all spend in school learning
Mhm.
through, K through 12 type situation and how long people spend in college. Think a lot of this is just unrealistic expectations nowadays because of the instant gratification
Mhm.
to kind of not let people realize how long it does take to learn things. And like in my situation, you know, I've had projects where I bid too low, and I've had projects where I've been like super close on concrete, and you know, even though I'm measuring and essentially measuring and ordering concrete just about every day, I still have times where I'm like, man, do I really know what I'm doing here?
Mhm.
Or oh man, did I really bid this right? And it always ends up working out, and it's because I've put in those reps and I've had those times where it was like pushing it close, and I've had times where we haven't had enough concrete because didn't order it right or didn't figure it right, and it takes those experiences to actually become an expert. It takes the failures, it takes the time, and it takes the constant day in day out work to make the decisions easy too. So and just kind of last point on this little project I did, it didn't like in the moment everything was like super easy. And I think that's part of the reason why for me, all of a sudden my mind was like, wait a second, this is all too easy.
Yep.
Everything went down way too easy. Like, is this right? Is this right? Did I bid enough for this? This seems like it's taken way too little time, you know, because there's so much less resistance
Mhm.
on something that not even that long ago, a couple years ago, a few years ago, would have felt pretty overwhelming to do for a side job, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
Even though we do much bigger jobs every day for, you know, our day job. So all of that is to say that it just takes the time. And when you get there, you will be grateful that you've put in all that time. But,
Mhm.
you know, we're kind of taking this from the point of I see a lot of I think what made me want to do this is I saw a lot of kids on TikTok kind of bitching about how they don't make enough money doing blue collar
Mhm.
work. You know,
Mhm.
they've been doing it for like a year or two. I just every time I see it, I'm like, do you really think you can go anywhere doing anything else and just like make a bunch of money just right off the bat?
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
I don't understand where this. I mean, I do understand, but not really where people are getting this idea that it's all immediate. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, they see the kid or the guy who's like, I make, 250K a year doing this, like as a lineman, like Cody that we were talking to. It's like Cody didn't
Mhm.
start making that. Like he did his apprenticeship, he did all this stuff. He had to get his cards, his certs, all that stuff. But you just see like, no, that dude drives a really cool truck. Why can't I drive a cool truck? Like we're at the same job site, you know. It's like 'cause you haven't put in the 10 years that Cody put in, or the 15. It's and every once in a while we have someone like that at work of like, you're like I should make what like it'll be the apprentice that's like coming up. And like, well, I should make what a journeyman make. Why am I not a journeyman? I was like, cool. I was like, you want to see what the journeyman does all day that you don't pay attention to? It's like, okay, you got to go do all the math. You got to go figure that out, lay that out, and no one is going to help you. Like, we will help you, but like, because we all work together. I was like, but if you want to know why they make what they make, is because they have 50 years of experience to like, okay, if we experience this problem, I can solve it. Whereas if you get in that problem, you're like,
Mhm.
I'm going to panic. What do I do? It's like, that's why they make the money they do, because they can solve that problem without calling the next guy down the line. And you only get that from the time and experience of solving problems. And that's not to say that like you shouldn't make a good wage if you're really good at your job as an apprentice. But like, if you want to keep furthering steps, it just takes more and more time. Like you said, you're at
Yeah,
10,000
well,
hours,
and
if you will.
we yeah, and we've talked about it before, how people should view their first honestly, their first 4 years of working in a trade as, like, they're going to school.
Hmm.
You're and that's such a cool thing about being in a trade, that you can be getting paid to learn. But most people, if they're taking the going to college route, they're spending 4 years not getting paid they're paying money to learn something, to
Hmm.
then get out into the field and really not make that much money either, because what you're learning in the school doesn't really help either for the workplace. It's just
Hmm.
giving you a baseline of skills and ability and knowledge to set you up in a certain field. So even after your 4 years in a trade, you could still expect to be like an entry level person. And I think that's what's
Hmm.
hard, because people don't want to sit there and make very little money, and it's not always very little money for a whole 4 years, but they don't wanna sit there and make very little money, even though they're getting paid to learn to do it.
Hmm.
And it really should be like the 4-year thing where you're training, you're learning, you're trying to take on new responsibilities and opportunities, and then after that 4 years, you can really see a lot of accelerated growth in what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, even certain positions that, because like college, you're gonna put in the 4 years and you're not guaranteed, right? Nothing's guaranteed other than like even a doctor is like a doctor is a high value career, a high value degree, high value career. But even those guys aren't gonna they're not gonna net money until they're in their 30s because they have such a high bill,
Mhm.
right? Or even their 40s
Uh-huh.
that they got to pay out their school. So they're playing the long game of like, okay, if I front load all this work, by the time I get here, I'm going to be able to enjoy my life, and like I'm still young enough, right? But we're in our trades and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you got to front load a lot of work because you got to learn everything. But then by year 4, 5, 6, 7, it really starts doing the same thing, and you're going up, or like whatever it may be, because you have all the skills you've accumulated if you've been paying attention while you're there.
Yeah, yeah. You've talked before about how you have a few journeymen that have been around with your dad for a long time, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've got guys
Or
that
a
have worked
couple.
for, and like, I mean, Scooter's worked for my dad for 26 years, and then other guys have worked, anywhere from 15 to 20 something years. Like some of it's off and on, and some of them have been there the whole time, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nowadays we just have such a, I think, an impatience. So another thing that made me want to start talking about this is I was listening to the Ramsey show, because that's
Hmm.
been something I've been listening to a lot lately. And so he was talking about how he loves Gen Z and millennials because we all have such an abundance mindset. And it goes down to this social media thing where like we see so many things are possible. So we
Hmm.
have such an ability to brainstorm ideas and to think through things that are potential avenues to make money at, and it's like most people nowadays have like zero block in their mind to making money.
Hmm.
But that's a double-edged sword because it just has made people super impatient, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's made people super impatient because you just see this snapshot of people's lives.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, you see the
it's like,
21-year-old with the Lambo, and you're like, I want that. Why is it not me?
and you see stuff that isn't real too. Another thing.
Yeah, yeah,
See people just like renting vehicles and being like, yeah, look at me, look at my life. I make so much money, when
yeah.
it's totally a facade just to try to get some clout online.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
and I I
look at
agree.
like you mentioned the air fryer. I mean, look at everything else we have nowadays. Dude, not too long ago, Amazon started doing next day delivery at 4 a.m. on stuff.
Yeah, it's
I
wild,
mean,
bro, especially, like, you're in
what?
Ogden next to the distribution center.
Yeah, yeah, that one that apparently so I heard actually that one was built and basically Amazon didn't even know it was built. It sat empty for like over a year.
I told you
Nothing
I
happening.
told you I told you about my friend, right, that works on those buildings? He's East Coast,
I
but
think so.
they call it cobwebbing. They'll go build the building in
Uh,
anticipation of needing it, and, like, "Oh, yeah, it
uh,
can sit for 3 to 5 years, we don't care, but eventually we're gonna need it." So they'll go build it because, like, think that's probably a tax write-off, "Hey, we just spent all this, we're not using
yeah,
it." But they're like,
yeah.
"Eventually that area is gonna be big enough, that, like, we're gonna use this." Because if you guys aren't from Utah, there's a Amazon warehouse near where Jaden lived that's right off the freeway. It has
Mhm.
literally been empty for 3 to 4 years, and now all of a sudden there's, like, all the trucks and everything are at it, just one day it appeared. It's wild.
It was so weird. And honestly, thinking about Amazon too. I mean, their growth has been crazy, but also they've been building that business for a really, really long time now. I mean, what has it
Mhm.
probably been 30 years that they've been like
Yeah.
because
Started as
he
a book
started doing just
book thing.
yeah, yeah, a book thing. And then I saw an interview of Jeff Bezos, and people can think whatever they want about Jeff Bezos. I really don't give a crap about him as a person. I just whatever. He's a
Mhm.
successful person, and it's cool to study people that have done stuff like that. He was on a talk show, and it was like I think it was like 15 years ago or something, or 20 years ago. I can't even remember. I'd have to look it up. He was on a talk show and they were kind of making fun of him because
Mhm.
he was the owner of Amazon and they hadn't turned a profit for like years. Like never turned a profit. And he
Mhm.
said something about basically they reinvest all of their money into their
Mhm.
business. And
Mhm.
can you imagine how many people start businesses and just like expect to be making a ton of money immediately
Mhm.
and could never just sit there and put every dime that they make back into the business year after year after year for 20 years before they really see a lot of success. Because I feel like I remember a point in time where Amazon really wasn't that great either. Like it hasn't always had just this insane dominance over everything. And it's like almost impossible to order something and not use Amazon anymore just because of how convenient it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something, man, and it's just I mean, that's the world we live in, so, like, it's not like we can really fault anyone for thinking that they should get ahead really quickly, especially with, like, the abundance that we do have, but I would say to them, it is right to have an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. I think a little bit of both are healthy. But if you're going to be of the abundance mindset, you need to understand that the only way to capture the abundant opportunities is to be prepared. And the only way to be prepared is to put the time in to prepare yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought because like every generation's different. So I've heard a lot of people talk about their grandparents and their great grandparents and such a they have such a negative outlook on things that are possible. So like you always have the story of like you'll go tell some parents or grandparents or great grandparents or whatever something that they're doing and their grandparents will be like, well, that's dumb, why don't you go do this instead? That's not going to work, that's not going to you're not going to be successful doing that. And all that does is make them more determined. But it just goes to show how different generationally we are. And
Mhm.
nowadays we have just such a weird dynamic, like yeah, this technology is so powerful and so you really can do so much, but then it also
Mhm.
gives people this thought that they just don't have to put any work in. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And then that goes very hard against trades because it
Mhm.
trades are all about putting your time in and putting in the hours working to become the expert in the field that you can then one day leverage your skills to make more money elsewhere or in what you're doing or whatever. It's just like a complete counter narrative to what actually works in construction.
Yeah, construction is a merit-based industry. Unless you're the boss's
Oh no,
kid, then
yeah.
you just show up and take videos and get paid the most.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, like, I was gonna stop by your guys' job site, and I was worried I was gonna interrupt, and then, you don't even work, so I guess it wouldn't have been a
No, dude.
problem.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I don't want to get out of the AC in the truck though. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. Well, I
it's a
think
merit based industry. You only get what you deserve, really. Like it's you have to prove your worth to get paid your worth.
yeah. How do you think we can go about giving people realistic expectations for this? Because there's a lot of people going to join the trades right now. I think
Mhm.
social media has been doing a really good job of getting people excited to learn a trade, and it's good because like we've been kind of um, accounts like yours and accounts like working with Matt and some other people that are out there are
Mhm.
really getting people excited to start building and creating things. How can we give people expectations that are realistic to get into these? Because they're going to start working and they're probably not going to make, probably going to make $20 an hour or whatever for not, for a while in the
Mhm.
20s, and see everybody else around them flaunting all this stuff and on social media, and oh yeah, I made $10,000 today on this bullshit MLM thing, and I made 20 grand on social media, join my, sign up for my course to learn how today. And
Sure. Yeah. I
it's
think as an industry, we could be a lot better about being transparent about the things behind the scenes. Because I think construction's there's such a stigma to be like a closed book. So it's like, oh, we don't, if they learn that, they're going to learn our secrets and they're going to underbid us or outbid us. Pardon me. But
yeah,
I think we
don't
could,
want to train your competition.
yeah, or my replacement. I don't want to do that. No, think I think we could be more transparent about the things. I really love how we've talked about the like your first 3 to 4 years of school. Like we need to be better about preparing people for that, right? So it's I get it. You show up to work and you're going to get paid, but like you still need to learn everything and be proficient in it. Just like college does 4 years, you're still going to do your 4 years. It's just the difference is you get paid for it. But I think
Hmm.
people need to realize, even though you're at work and you're at the job, you're still learning. And I think we could do better to remind people that your first few years of your trade is equivalent to your schooling. And then I think we could be better. I do think our industry could be better about giving people the path of like laying it out of like, hey, you know, if you do this, this, and this, then this you go here. And like, because it's a lot of the time, I think a lot of guys get put into a trade and they're an apprentice or a laborer or something else. And it's not like their boss has ever been like, hey, dude, if you put in 2 years and you work really hard and you prove yourself and you're the guy that shows up and whatever, I'm going to be able to give you the opportunity to do the next thing. And so
Hmm.
on and so forth. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that you and I could go to a job site and be like, hey, dude, do you know how you become a foreman out of your position? Because I guarantee they have no clue. Or like,
Hmm.
hey, you're the hottie. Like, how do you become a mason? And like maybe they do know.
Hmm.
Maybe they do know. Like if I work hard and I create the opportunity for myself to get on the wall and help them, or I get ahead enough that I can jump in there, or like I'm that guy that's the one they can count on. I get to be that, the next guy up, or you go through an apprenticeship program or something. But I think we would be hard pressed to find the majority of people knowing how to move up in their career in our industry. And so I think we could do a lot better
Yeah.
about how we lay out the paths and our transparencies.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that in our circumstance, and we don't really have specific job titles,
Mhm.
and everybody kind of learns how to do everything. So it's probably hard for people to see a pathway when it's just kind of like we all show up to work and we teach people. It's not like we're just like, oh yeah, you're just, we just need a warm body here. We don't do
Yeah.
that stuff, but having like an actual path for people to learn is a good thing and would
Yeah.
be a good thing, and I think that's something everybody can do, especially like in smaller residential companies. I see that a lot more often. I think in you start getting into bigger commercial companies, they have more stuff like that, but like especially where we are, it's not as clear cut and laid out and defined that way. And honestly, a lot of it is totally up to the person, because if they are the type of person to show up and work hard and try new things and learn new things, we're all for getting them to do that. I think it's actually
Mhm.
hard nowadays to get people to actually want to do more and do more willingly. It's like some people are literally just content showing up to work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's, I think too, is our industry has a hard time with like, this is how it was for me, so that's how it's going to be for you, right? Like, and whether it's,
yeah,
we're being rude to the guy below us, or what it is, or like, well, it took me 5 years to become this, so it should take you five, because like,
yeah,
but we all like, I'm sure you and I can both speak on the sense of like, say, like, probably by year, 2, 3, 4, whatever it was, like you probably were pretty good at what you were doing, but you were held back because it's like, oh, well, this is how we do this. It's like,
yeah.
I'm trying to be better out in the field of like, if I have a guy that's going to put in just the work and have the work ethic and the drive and everything else, and he's going to be the guy that shows up early and stays late, I'm not going to
Mhm.
withhold those opportunities from him. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be that guy, and you're good at everything else, and like, I can see that you're trying and you're figuring everything else out. I am not going to withhold, like, I tell them all, I was like, hey, if you're willing to get ahead and create that opportunity for you, I am not going to stop you from jumping down here on this wall and at least playing with it and learning, like, okay, if I do, like this in my little bit of free time that you have between your other tasks, or like, okay, you guys are tooling up all the joints, let me jump in there with you and help you out so I can learn how to do that. Because
Mhm.
and it also benefits me to have more skilled guys out on the field with me, and
Mhm.
it also benefits me to have the guys that are the laborers and the hot tenders and the operators know, hey, those, like, I'm playing with this material, and it's not really like, if the mud's too stiff or the mud's too wet, you start to learn, like, maybe that's why they bitch about that, because now I'm
Mm.
playing with it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be better about our company of like, if there's someone in that is the driven, ambitious person, of giving them, like, opening the door for them and be like, hey, bro, you want to do it? That's cool. Like, yeah, it took me 10 years to make, 30 plus whatever dollars an hour, but I'm not going to stop you from, if you're going to climb through all that stuff, I'm not going to stop you from going faster than me just because it took me longer, because that's stupid.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's how we lose the people that are interested in our trades of like, hey, nope, nope, we're going to keep all these doors closed and we're going to open them only when we feel like it. But because you have guys that earn it, and it's like, you shouldn't deny them, the
Yeah.
opportunities. Otherwise, we're just going to keep losing people that want to come into this trade, because if you
Yeah.
keep their ceiling here, but their ceiling's really here, if you would just let them through the door, it's silly.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the difference between the type of guys that show up and are like super motivated to figure it out, and the guys that just are kind of there for a job? Because I think there's a lot of guys that work in the trades that are kind of just there, and
Sure.
they don't really care, and they're kind of just waiting it for it to be done unto them. And I can't help but think that that's just not the way the trades work.
Hmm.
Not being someone that, like, for example, in other industries, you might be able to just kind of show up and get more things just thrown to you and
Hmm.
put in your time and get promotions and do that stuff that way. I feel like
Hmm.
even if we had it structured like that in the trades, I don't think it would work that good, because everything is so demanding of your physical and mental capacities that you can't just have someone that's just kind of there doing or
Sure.
just working that
Sure.
is going to move up. I don't know. I just can't
Yeah.
help but feel like the person that wants to move up and learn and make more money is going to, and the people that are just kind of there are probably never going to be, just because it takes a little bit of initiative too.
Hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, it's the old saying: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Yeah.
Because I have guys on the crew that are like, they're there, and maybe it's on me to spark that little bit of passion, because a lot of people, like, I mean, a job is a job, and some people like work is work, and it's, the young, like our generation, the generation before us, like, kind of see, some of them see things that way of like, no, this is just a job, like, this isn't my life, and that's cool, I'm cool with it, but like, I try my best to maybe spark that passion of like, hey, dude, these people don't have a building without you. These people don't have roads without you. These people don't have a house without you. Like, you're doing
Hmm.
something really, really pretty cool. And
Hmm.
I think getting people to see that side of things versus like, oh, I just show up and I put a block in the wall, like, and then I go home. It's like, no, like, you're building something pretty cool. I think
Yeah.
we can do a better job of that. But also, like I said, you can't make that horse drink the water. Like, yeah, I can set that path out in front of them, and some people just don't. but we need that guy too. Like
Yeah.
I can't have every single hottie on the wall because I still need hotties, right? Like I can't have every
Mhm.
operator moving around because I still need a guy to drive the forklift. I can't like not everybody can be the owner of the company because like you still need people to go do the work. You know, it's
Yeah.
you need everybody at certain different levels and they're gonna fill in where they go in. It's a what like a bell curve, right? Like you know where they drop all
Mhm.
the data points or like the visual one of like where they drop all the balls and everybody fills in naturally to this point. Like it's I think it's natural that some people are going to stay where they're at, but I
Yeah.
think that if we can do a better job about being transparent, laying out the path, then at least the one that wants to climb the ladder is going to be able to because like, okay, I can do this, this, and this. I can jump up a rung. I can do this, this, and this. I can jump up a rung. You know, that's how I feel
Yeah.
about it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting too to think about it from a smaller company perspective. I know we've talked about it before where like your progression in your trade is hot tender, jumping on, you can either like go to be an operator or kind of like jump onto the wall and then kind of be a journeyman and a foreman
Hmm.
and stuff. It's hard when you have people, when you start hiring people kind of in a smaller company, you expect kind of that progression and you would
Hmm.
kind of expect a company you would go to work for to grow as time goes on. But sometimes those
Hmm.
little companies just stick to like, you know, two or three guys. Like I see a lot of masons
Yeah.
that just work with two guys. And I always wonder about that because I see a lot of times. The other day we were up in Manaway working and I saw some masons doing some stonework across the street and they were both like older guys. One of them was very clearly the hot tender and he just kind of like
Hmm.
stood there and watched the whole time.
Hmm.
And I just couldn't help but wonder what that situation was like for them because it sure seemed like an older guy that really just kind of was a hot tender
Sure.
and then a mason working,
Yeah.
you know. But if you're a younger person, you'd expect to, okay, I want to start off as a hot tender. And as soon as get maybe another person hired, I need to be able to be good enough to move on. And then they can get trained up and they can start taking over what I was doing so I can move on. But if you start off in a company and nobody is there to replace you and you're just eternally the hot tender, that would really suck and
Yeah.
really make your experience not that great, especially if you wanted to move on and you
Sure.
couldn't because you were stuck there.
Sure, and I think that comes down to the transparency of the company or the transparency of the guy running the show.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we know that like say IMS, we know those guys have 600 employees and they're doing like $50 million a year. That's not us. I do
Yeah.
repairs. I don't like the headache. I just want to do these little jobs. I think, but I'm more than willing to teach you, like, because most of them are. They're pretty like the guy in that situation is usually a pretty calm guy. He's pretty cool. He's like, hey, if
Yeah.
you want to show up and do this, but like you got to be transparent on both sides, really. So like that guy needs to be transparent about his goals as a company, and this guy needs to be transparent about his goals as an employee. And
Yeah.
if he hits that ceiling, it needs to be mutual of like, hey, dude, I can't pay you what you want to get paid. And hey, dude, like, I can't work here any longer because I want to go do this. Right.
Mhm.
And so it's just a transparency issue of like,
Yeah.
I can like here's your ceiling. If you want to go past that, like I'm gonna do everything I can so that when you get here, you could go step into like working for us or working for IMS or like whoever it is. It's like this next step in your career.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get like a bad taste in their mouth about that person of like, cool, like they left after we trained them all, but like if you can't provide the opportunities for them to keep growing, that it's really
Yeah.
not their fault.
Yeah. Well, that transparency thing is huge. And we also are kind of leaving out a part of this where it's important for the company to be transparent, but people forget that an employment situation is a contract. And so it's an agreement between two people. So it's kind of your job as an employee to honestly like barter for your position there. And
Mhm.
obviously this company's offering employment to you, but you can go through and be like, okay, well, I would really like to be in this position by this point in time. And they can be like, well, it's going to take a little bit longer than that, or we can't quite pay you that, but we can
Mhm.
do this instead. Like having this back and forth doesn't ever really happen, especially in trade work, because it's always just like, your job interview is the first 2 weeks that you're on the job a lot of
Yeah.
times, and you just
Yeah.
kind of show up, and then a lot of people just show up and work, and then they just kind of stick around, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
And then they'll just leave, and everybody will be like, "Man, what the crap? We just spent all this time training them," and it's probably because the expectations were never really laid out. It was
Hmm.
never, and I don't even know if that's a bad thing, if that's necessarily something we can talk down on to people for, because um, it's just kind of the way this industry works at the moment. Because there's so
Hmm.
many people that start off these little businesses that, I mean, they don't have a whole hiring process laid out, and they don't have an HR department. They don't have a receptionist. Like these little
Yeah.
owner operator deals are doing their thing, and they're being the leader. They're being the manager. They're hiring people. They're doing all. They're being accountant, and
Hmm.
it's hard. It's hard to have that all laid out when you're doing all of that stuff. So I guess the transparency and then managing your expectations there is probably important for
For
just
sure.
to get people
And
to realize how long it'll take. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and like think about too in the like the situation with the Manaway, like there's the older hod tender, right? And there's sometimes there's career laborers. But what you should do, like, and what I try to do, like, say, like, it's my side job and pretend that I'm running the show, right?
Mhm.
I'm in a situation where, like, hey, dude, I know how integral you are to this part, so I'm going to pay you probably more than I don't want you to just have this base pay. I'm gonna be like, well, like you've been with me a long time, and I need you here because you saved me a lot of freaking time, so I'm going to pay you more. So it's like
Yeah.
as long as you're giving him that opportunity, and it's like, hey, I need an operator. We've
Yeah.
had that before, where like the kid was just a really freaking good operator, but he was like, well, everybody else kind of like passed me up, because I'm over here in the forklift, and but you're way good at it. It's like, well, then we need to pay you the same that they're paying them, and
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
And like, now he's finally stepped into the role of like he's up on the wall because we have a different operator. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
you can't deny them the opportunity because they're fit into a role. And again, that's just a transparency thing, and like you said, a barter thing of like, hey, I'm here doing this, but like like you can't like if you cap me, I need to like if you put me in this box, I still want to be able to make more money. So what do I got to do?
Yeah.
And you got
Yeah.
to have a transparent conversation and have your expectations and realize that you got to put the time in to get to that spot. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Things take time and take longer than you think. And it should take longer than you think because you need to be able to realize that it takes time to become an expert. And I just think that people nowadays are, yeah, expect things too quick because you can get on Amazon and order some toilet paper to your house by 4 a.m. the next morning. So
yeah,
I think that we just have some unrealistic expectations, and it's not necessarily bad. And I think partially it can be a good thing for people to be impatient because maybe this leads to more innovation and more efficiencies in getting stuff done, and maybe
uh
it leads people to be more driven and disciplined to learn. So maybe they can get become a pseudo expert in less than 10,000 hours. Maybe they can be so driven that you can learn your trades quickly and move up the ranks, but it still takes time. And if you're listening to this and you wanted to get into trade or you are in one and you're in your, second, third year and you're a little frustrated because you feel like it's taking too long, just know that it happens to everybody and you get past the 4 or 5, 6 year mark and it really just starts to look like an exponential curve and you start to have all of that experience and opportunities open up. So you're just putting in your time to become an expert at what you're doing.
nailed
So
it. Yeah,
awesome.
and yeah, that goes for the
If
GC too. Goes for the GC too. Just because the first wall took me a minute to figure out doesn't mean the fourth wall is going to be as slow. That's my piece.
that's your piece. We'll leave it there then, I guess. Yeah, that's all right. If see our next one's going to be a Q&A, so watch out for when we are collecting questions. I haven't been as active in our little Instagram channel, but we've been collecting them through stories and getting some there. So
Mm,
we do have a backlog, but we like to get questions. We've had some good questions lately, and I've been making videos on Instagram or on Instagram and YouTube for
mm.
individual questions that we've answered. So maybe we can start if people are asking questions that we've already answered before, we can link to them on YouTube. Jesse collects questions on his stories, and I do on mine. Be on the lookout for those.
Hmm.
and subscribe, share with a friend who you think will get something out of it. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Jay.
So, yep. Okay.